Well, let's wrap up this segment with this video, which we think is the seminal clip of the 2023 elections.
I hear people declaring for APC, saying that they want to continue the good job of Mr. President, the good job of people dying every day, the good job of Naira falling every day. I feel so ashamed that we have gotten to the level where sacrificing, people will come and say, look, I want to continue the good job of Buhari. What is the good job of Buhari? Of hunger is a good job, of poverty is a good job, of insecurity is a good job, of the economy falling is a good job. It's such a shameful thing. I can't believe that somebody will come out in today's Nigeria and say, I want to continue where Mr. Buhari has stopped. May God forgive. May God never allow that people to continue to.
Hello,
well, joining us now is the Rise News Director of News and Politics Editor, Sambo. Thank you so much for joining us on the news tonight. Christian couldn't hold back.
I just couldn't.
I mean, campaigns in Nigeria, political campaigns have their ups and downs, their intrigues. Now that we are wrapping up tonight, I think it's midnight.
It is.
It's midnight today. Sambo, would you say you've been intrigued, you've been blown away? If you're an undecided voter, would you have been able to be convinced by any of these political parties?
Thank you so much at this one, Christian. Before I come to your question, I just want to make reference to this video.
You want to add to the after too.
Well, this tells you the classical Nigerian politician, you know, always speaking about this, and then he or she is doing the opposite. Yeah, I mean, here was Governor Nyesom Wike last year telling us that, I mean, the APC was a cancer to the Nigerian society, and the PDP is also having malaria and all of that. And all of a sudden, you can see that from the permutations that we have and all we've gathered, he is supporting the APC's candidate. And you find out what exactly politicians want this country to be. Is it all about personal interest or the national interest? Well, we wish Mr. Wike well in his political adventure in Rivers State. I can tell you it's going to be a very tough time for him over there, convincing a lot of people. When you see this kind of video and some of the things he has said, you know, gathering lots of people, doing lots of live broadcasts here and there, and, you know, looking like he's turning against it now. Let's come back to your question, Adesua. You've talked about all that these candidates have said. I'd like to start by commending all the candidates for the sportsmanship that they've shown. I mean, while this may not necessarily be the best of presidential candidates that we've had over time, but nonetheless, they've conducted themselves very well. Some of them tried to play murky politics, I mean, where you see that they are not focusing on the message that the nation actually demands from them at the moment, which is the issues of restructuring, the issues of tackling poverty, the issues of dwindling fortunes of the economy, infrastructure development, yes, unity, national cohesion, and all of that. But at some point, Nigerians had to force them to come back to that conversation. And some of them stayed on it, trying to educate us on what they would do. Some of them, when questions were put to them, they tried to evade some of the answers. But of course, Nigerians kept asking, what exactly will you do differently? Right from the governing party to the main opposition, and of course, the other parties that were same. But if there are those who have betrayed the trust of the Nigerian people when it comes to handing over party tickets, it is those fringe political parties that we've had. A lot of, I mean, apart from the 5 or 6 top candidates that we have outlined, why do we have the other political party candidates holding tickets of political parties and we haven't heard them? Some of them is just this week that they started campaigns. Something is wrong with our democracy. If we're having 18 political parties and we're only having about 6, what happens to the rest 12? So INEC has to wield the big stick after the elections. And we need to, because I mean,
mushroom parties.
I mean, because I mean, they used to be called portfolio political parties or briefcase. Yeah, I mean, it's shown very clearly. But we must commend this major political party candidate for doing the best that they can to promote good discourse, even though sometimes they've tried to tackle themselves. Look at some very good points that we've seen from the likes of Peter Obi. Even when other candidates like that of the APC, try to paint some things against him, he refuses to get into that, dirty political fight. And when you see Atiku Abubakar too being pulled aside by the APC candidate, or the APC candidate being pulled aside by Atiku Abubakar, you see that they will refuse to get into the field to fight terribly dirty. I think the APC candidate himself would have learned from all of this. And you see him retracting his steps and coming back to the conversation on what exactly would you do for the Nigerian voter if you're elected president. The same thing we've seen from Kwankwaso. At some point, he referred to Labour Party as Andrew Liversalt Party and all of that. Trying to take the conversation away from the focus on the main issue. But he had to come back. But you could see that Peter Obi himself had to pull the gloves at some point when he said, look, all these guys are gerontocrats. Right. I'm younger than them, and Nigerians should take a look at me. That despite the fact that he was trying to run away from a political fight, at some point he had to come into the arena. That's the way it's always been. But we must commend them, and I will ask them at this point and their strategies to continue to enlighten their supporters that this is an election that can be won or lost. Some people are taking this election as if they can never lose, and that's a very bad sign.
Election not war.
Yes.
Election not war.
They should begin to prepare their supporters for a win and begin to prepare their supporters for a lose.
Absolutely.
If they eventually lose out of the election, what should they do? That's why I like what the president has been doing, and then promoting the fact that we must imbibe the culture of former President Goodluck Jonathan, who is going to be the first person to pick up his phone and call the winner. We must follow the democratic process in pushing at our grievances if we lose, and the winner must have a situation where he brings everyone to the table. But the most important thing is that INEC must declare these election results in such a way that the believability will be high.
We don't want a situation in 2019 where that professor from Imo State said he couldn't even see what he wrote.
Well, if you flip back,
they brought magnifying lenses for him. They brought, so we don't want.
Anorubebe in 2015,
we don't,
where somebody
Nigerians don't want such. But Samna, very quickly, as we, release you. It's less than 48 hours to the elections, and we're still, hearing of killings. The fear, the anxiety about the election is heightened in places like Enugu State, Anambra State, and the rest. And the same Simon Ikpa, saying that elections will not hold. But thank God, the Finnish government have picked him. And I'm sure Interpol will be working on his extradition. But tell us, do we really have anything to fear? As Muyiwa Adejobi, the first public relations spokesman, said to us that they are isolated cases.
Christian, I woke up this morning with the death of that, Labour Party's candidate all over me. I felt very sad. Why kill somebody just for a political ambition? The worst you can do is to actually even, assuming, it's even a way you can do something here and there, even if it's to rig out the person. At least that should just do that and keep the person alive. But we don't even that to happen. Yes, but why will you kill somebody for a political position? Burn the person's car, not only him. There were others on the entourage. We haven't been speaking about them. They're all human beings. This is terrible. This is not a good sign. But I can tell you that anyone who will dare the authority of the Nigerian state on election day will have him or herself to blame, if we are to believe President Muhammadu Buhari and the military chiefs, including the police chiefs and what they are telling us. And there's no reason why we shouldn't believe them, because we've entrusted our security to them. And of course, INEC must understand that they have a role to play in this election. On election day, let everything go smoothly so that people don't have any reason to get provoked to want to cause violence. But this is not a good sign that we are maturing in our democracy. For what reason would you want to kill a contestant? Being of a Labour Party who is not yet tested. If it were like APC and PDP, I would say, okay, over time they've always been used to, the cat and dog fight. And him being a lawyer, I can tell you that it's not good for our democracy. People should learn to be tolerant of other people's views and tolerant of other political parties. who tells the other person that he or she is going to win the election? If indeed there are allegations here and there that things are being happening, some parties are involved. But the thing is that the police must fish out the killers. We as a nation owe it to the soul of the departed ones to bring the killers, the perpetrators of this, to justice.
Yes,
there must be
yes,
consequences.
Indeed. Absolutely,
yes,
for every actions, yeah.
Thank
you so very much, Sumner Sambo, Director News and Politics Editor, as we count down 48 hours to Nigeria's general election.